So let's give Dallas a win this weekend, and you see the Eagles have a bye. Look at the upcoming schedule for these two top teams in the NFC East. The Eagles have tough games coming up. Their opponents have a combined winning record of 22-12. The Cowboys' upcoming opponents are under 500, and then, of course, those teams meet again in Week 14. So the question, Dan Graziano, is this. Can the Cowboys catch the Eagles and still win the NFC East despite last weekend's loss?
Of course they can. And in fact, last weekend's loss should sort of embolden them because it came down to the wire. It was in Philadelphia. And Dallas comes out of that game feeling like, yeah, when we meet again, we can play with these guys and we can beat them. So, yes, the way those look, Philadelphia's schedule's tough. Philadelphia's a really good team. They could beat all those teams. And then we're not even having this conversation. But it does look much more difficult than what Dallas has lined up. And if it goes badly for Philly in those first couple of games out of its bye, then we could have a situation where they have the same record or very close to it by the time they meet again in early December.
Right, look, so barring something really unexpected against the Giants, the Cowboys will be 2 games behind the Eagles when we all wake up Monday morning, and then we see how the schedule plays out. Can they catch Philly this year and win the division, Bart?
I don't think they can catch Philly because you think about Philadelphia being a good team, usually good teams split with other good teams. So even if they, lose some of those games, I think they have a big enough lead, and it's going to come down maybe potentially to the final game of the season. And if it comes down to the final game of the season, I think Philadelphia will find a way to figure it out.
Greeny, they don't win the division, but you made a great point earlier in the week when you said of the 106 players, Dak Prescott was the best player. I agree with that. I think they could go back to Philly in the playoffs and win. And when you look at how good Dak Prescott's playing, 3rd in the league in completion percentage, and 6 different Cowboys have 15 or more receptions. I think this offense is different than last year. I think it's a little bit more efficient. So I don't think they win the division, but I think they can win the war.
See, but the problem that they're going to run into is they don't have any physicality, and that's what wins in the playoffs. You have to be able to run the football and get those tough yards. They're missing Ezekiel Elliott, and that's going to be a problem when it gets to the playoffs.
The problem they're going to have is that in order to get back to Philadelphia, they probably will have to beat San Francisco.
Yeah.
And styles make fights, right? The Cowboys play the Eagles tough. They don't play the Niners tough.
That's a problem. Look, it's been 18 years since the same team won the NFC East in back-to-back seasons.
Yeah.
Let's see it before we crown the Eagles.
Well, that's one way to look at it. I'll give you a matchup. You tell me who you got in the game. Big games this weekend. Graz, Texans, Bengals. Who you got?
I got the Bengals, but I'm starting to worry because T. Higgins got hurt in practice the other day. Jamar Chase hurt his back in the game last week. If those guys can't go, I reserve the right to change my pick, but as of now, it's the Bengals.
Put the picks up on the screen. You will see. You're going to see a pattern with mine. If everyone goes in one direction, I always go in the other direction, and that's why you will see me doing that. Everyone likes Cincinnati in this game.
Yeah, I think they're hitting their stride at the right time. They're finally starting to protect Joe Burrow. The receivers are coming to life, and Joe Mixon is starting to give them balance.
That young secondary is going to continue to get better, Greeny. They're going to be hard to beat because of their defense as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Cincinnati?
The Cincinnati.
Yeah.
I think they're going to win, but if everyone thinks something is going to happen, it never does. Mike T, Packers, Steelers, who do you like?
I like the Packers. Little sign of life finally out of Jordan Love. And at some point, Pittsburgh, as you would say, Greeny, they stink. I just don't get it. So I actually think there's some hope here for Green Bay. Hopefully Jordan Love can string some games together. And for Pittsburgh, I don't understand what they're doing, and I don't think it's sustainable.
As we put the picks up, Bart, you don't look like you agree.
Yeah, hope and wish are 2 bad things. You want to be wishing for your quarterback or hoping for your quarterback, put you in a bad position. T.J. Watt is going for another campaign to be the Defensive Player of the Year. They're going to Tomlin their way right back to another victory, trust me.
I think T.J. Watt has played his way into an MVP conversation.
Yeah, him and
him. That important.
Me on some ballots. I just went with the Steelers because, why fight it at this point? It's just, I don't know how they're doing it.
It's going to be like 16-3.
Right.
Bartholomew,
we'll watch it.
With a very low-scoring game. Bartholomew, Browns, Ravens. Who do you like?
I'm going with those Dirty Birds. I got to go with the Dirty Birds. I understand that, they won first time. It wasn't Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson hasn't looked like Deshaun Watson. Haven't thrown it, hasn't had a 300-yard game since he's been a member of the Cleveland Browns. This Raven defense is playing at a high level, and I think this is just one step to their division championship.
So this is another one, Danny, as I turn it over to you, another one where I just picked against the grain. I like Baltimore. Everybody likes Baltimore, but if everyone likes something, it just never works out.
Rules. Yeah, no, look, Baltimore's defense is one of the only ones in the league that's playing as well or better than Cleveland's right now, and Lamar Jackson looks like he's so in command. I think that offense has a number of different ways they can beat you. you right now. They look like the best team in the league, and that's why I took them.
You know, Greeny, as you would say, sneaky big news. Lamar Jackson leads the league in completion percentage. I expect Jim Schwartz to play a lot of zone, take away his ability to run, and I think Lamar Jackson's going to throw them to a big victory.
Hey,
they got the best kicker in all of football.
They have that too. Are the Ravens the best team? I mean, the truth is, they easily could be unbeaten. The 2 games they lost were very strange games. One could argue they sort of gave them away.
Yeah.
Are the and they've wiped the field with Detroit and Seattle. Are they the best team?
They're really complete, right? You know, I was concerned because they didn't have veterans, you know, at the pass rusher position. All of a sudden, they've gotten a lot of depth there with Clowney and Van Noy, who's come over and really been a revelation. He's been a tool. 5 sacks in, I believe, 6 games. So now they have balance. I get concerned sometimes on the outside when Marlon Humphreys kind of has concentration, you know, kind of coverages. But I think they can play with anybody because they have elite safety play.
Well, let me get one more game in here. And Mike T, I know you have this one on the radio on Sunday, and this is 49ers at Jaguars, an early game in Jacksonville. Who do you favor?
I'm going to go with the 49ers because this guy right here, Deebo Samuel. Brock Purdy has 5 interceptions. All 5 was when Deebo Samuel was not on the field. We expect him back. It'd be great if they get Trent Williams. And I just don't think the 49ers are going to lose 4 games in a row.
What do you think, Bartholomew?
Yeah, I'm going with the Jags simply because what you said, you know, at the end of your statement. Trent Williams, we don't know that he's going to be back. I'm sure all 5 of those interceptions was when Trent Williams wasn't there. He makes this whole entire thing go in the run game and in the pass game. When healthy, is the best left tackle in all of football, a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Danny, I know you have this game this weekend for us as well. Tell us what we need to know.
Well, I think that if Deebo and Trent Williams are back, that's significant for the 49ers. There's no arguing against that. Those are 2 guys that make that offense go at a very different level. The Jaguars feel good, though. I mean, like, this is the time of year last year. I was talking to Josh Allen, their edge rusher. He said, this is the time of year. Last year, we started to win every game, and we were in a hole. He said, this time, we start off great. We've got to make sure and intensify and maximize this. I think this is where having Doug Peterson as your head coach, a Super Bowl champion coach, I think that helps. I took Jacksonville. I also think when we've seen an elite AFC team play an elite NFC team this year, it's been dominant in favor of the AFC. Those 2 games you mentioned with Baltimore, Cincinnati beating San Francisco, I think the AFC, the top teams in the AFC are on a different level.
I also think, regardless of what happens this weekend, Jacksonville with their division is in a great spot.
Oh, yeah.
1 seed in the AFC, and Trevor Lawrence right now with pretty tasty odds. Pretty interesting pick to have a big second half and be MVP of the league.
Yeah, and it's one of the last hard tests before it gets real easy for them. So if they win this one, they should be the front runners maybe to push Kansas City for the #1 seed.
All right, all the football's coming up Sunday.